Welcome to our preview of Federal Budget 2019. This year's federal budget is going to be a little bit unusual because it's being held in April. Traditionally, it's handed down on the second Tuesday in May, and that's because the federal election must be held by the Saturday the 18th of May, within just a few weeks, although at the date of this recording it hasn't actually been announced yet, the date of the federal election. So what does a budget handed down just before an election really mean? If you look at the budget as a guide to the current and projected state of the nation's finances, then the timing of the election may not be particularly relevant. But if you look at it, as many of us do, as a guide to our future finances, then this budget needs to be viewed a little bit differently. Generally, when the government hands down a budget, it will have many changes to existing arrangements that affect people's finances. Tax rates and thresholds, social security rates and thresholds, aged care, superannuation changes. Every year there are various arrangements that are proposed, and in order for these to take effect, bills are drawn up that allow these changes to be debated and then passed or not passed by the Parliament. As we've had successive governments in Australia without a majority in both houses of Parliament, there's actually been a lot of change, plenty of budget proposals that have actually not made it into law. So they've failed to pass both houses and never made it. So the $6 GP co-payment, for example, that was detailed in the 2014 budget quite a while ago, is a memorable example of one that got a lot of news and a lot of press coverage and then just quietly disappeared and never affected anybody. So this year, Parliament will actually be dissolved shortly after the budget, and it won't be reconvened until after the election. As a result, whichever party is able to form government will be bringing their proposed budget changes to the Parliament, and if they don't have a majority in both houses, they'll need to negotiate with the crossbench to pass their legislation. It's worth remembering as well that this is a half Senate election, so not everybody in the Senate has to have their seat contested. The upshot of all of this is that unless you're 100% sure you know who's going to form government post-election and you're very sure that they won't need to negotiate with the crossbench, then you might need to observe this one with a bit of detachment. So this year's budget will have plenty of proposals in it. You may also wish to pay attention to the opposition's budget reply, because both major parties are going to be aiming to get your attention in the lead up to the election, and then they will have to bring those proposals to the Parliament should they be able to form government. The proposals that ultimately affect you and your loved ones will be the ones that are proposed by the government that actually does form government in the end, but also whether or not they're able to get it through the Parliament depending on who else is in there. So we won't know what these proposals are until 7:30 on Tuesday the 2nd of April. There are suggestions of tax cuts beyond those already coming. We'll just have to wait and see. Critical thing is, if you don't like anything in the budget that's proposed, don't worry too much. And if you do like stuff, don't get too excited. It's likely that there'll be a lot of water under the bridge before any of this makes it into law.